I always thought I knew my wife, Jessica. We've been together for about 7 years now, and honestly, I never really suspected she'd do something like this. We had our rough patches, sure, but I'd always chalked it up to typical relationship stuff. Still, there were these small signs, minor things that I brushed off, late nights, a bit more secretive on her phone, changing passwords, and a few odd smells when she'd come home late. Nothing concrete, but enough to make me wonder if there was something she wasn't telling me. Our relationship wasn't perfect, but we loved each other, or at least I thought we did. I was pretty confident that if she ever cheated, I'd be the first to know. I mean, I wasn't stupid. I had a good gut instinct about these things. Still, I kept telling myself, no way, Jessica is too smart for that. She's a fiery woman with a bitchy attitude sometimes, but she's also charming and manipulative when she wants to be. She's the kind of person who can lie effortlessly if it benefits her, and I guess I just never wanted to believe she'd do something so stupid and selfish. Then came the birthday party. We were celebrating my 35th birthday with a small group of close friends, nothing extravagant, just drinks, some good food, and laughs. Jessica was acting a little different that day, but I figured maybe she was just stressed about work or tired. She was her usual bitchy self, snapping at the guests, rolling her eyes at the music, and throwing around little sarcastic jabs. Honestly, it was kind of exhausting, but I didn't think much of it at first. The party was great until the last hour. I was taking some photos with friends trying to capture the night. I noticed Jessica was holding back, avoiding the group shots we took earlier. That seemed odd, but again, I just thought she was tired or didn't want to be in pictures. What caught my eye was a series of shots I didn't remember taking. I was scrolling through the photos later that night, just as a way to relive the moments, and I saw something that made the blood drain from my face. Two photos stared out at me. Same scene, same people, but Jessica was missing, completely absent from them. In one of the shots, I saw her in the background talking to someone I didn't recognize. But it was the second picture that made my stomach twist. I zoomed in, and there it was, Jessica smiling, kissing a guy I didn't know, right in the corner of the room. The man looked familiar, but I couldn't quite place him at first. I stared harder, and then it hit me. I knew him. He was Ryan, my twin brother's best friend. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My mind raced. How the hell did I miss this? How long has this been going on? I thought back to the last few weeks, the strange calls she'd had, the way she'd been acting distant, her secretive texts. It all clicked now. Jessica had been cheating on me, not just with some random guy, but with Ryan's best friend. It was so obvious now that I couldn't pretend otherwise. They were gone from the group photos because they didn't want anyone to catch them in the act. I was furious, sick to my stomach. I didn't sleep that night, replaying the images over and over, feeling betrayed on every level. How could she do this? How could she lie so effortlessly, knowing I'd find out? And the worst part, she'd been so bitchy, so dismissive, like she didn't care if I ever knew, like she thought she was untouchable. That was the moment I decided I couldn't stay silent anymore. I needed to confront her. I needed answers. And I knew deep down that this was only the beginning of whatever mess I was about to step into. The next day I couldn't focus. My mind kept going back to those photos. I kept asking myself, how long has this been going on? Was I blind? Or did I just choose to ignore the signs? I kept staring at my phone, debating whether I should even bring it up or just pretend I didn't see anything. But I knew no way in hell could I just ignore this. If she thought she could lie her way out of it, she was dead wrong. I decided I had to confront her, but I needed a plan. I didn't want to come at her guns blazing without evidence. So I did what I shouldn't have, got into her phone when she was in the shower. I know it's invasive, but I was desperate. I didn't want her lying again. I needed to see if she slipped up, and honestly I wanted to catch her in the act if she was stupid enough. Her phone was unlocked when I looked. I scrolled through her messages, her recent calls. Nothing too revealing at first, just work stuff, some flirtatious texts to her friends. Then I saw a message from Ryan. It was a recent one just last night, saying something like, "Can't wait to see you tonight, this is our little secret." My stomach tightened. That was enough for me to lose it. She'd lied to my face about not seeing him anymore, about how they were just friends. She had been playing me. When she got out of the shower, I was already sitting on the couch. She looked annoyed, that bitchy smirk on her face. I held up her phone. "Jessica, what the hell is this?" I asked, voice trembling. She looked surprised, then scoffed. "What are you talking about? It's nothing, just a stupid message. You're overreacting." She tried to brush past me, but I blocked her way. "No, tell me. Were you really cheating on me with Ryan's best friend? Is that why? You've been acting so weird. Why you lied?" She rolled her eyes, crossing her arms. "Oh, please, you're so paranoid. I was just talking to him about work stuff. God, you're so insecure." Her tone was sharp, almost dismissive. I felt the rage bubble up inside me. I wasn't about to let her lie her way out of this. "I saw the photos," I said, voice cold. "You and him kissing at my birthday party. Tell me the truth. How long has this been going on?" She hesitated, then let out an exasperated sigh. "Look, I didn't mean for it to go this far. It was just a mistake, okay? We were drunk and it just happened. It doesn't mean anything." Her words felt like a slap. I couldn't believe she was sitting there trying to minimize it like this was some fleeting mistake. I felt my fists clench. "A mistake? You think cheating on me with my fucking brother's best friend is just a mistake? How stupid do you think I am? Do you even care how much you've hurt me?" My voice cracked, but I was beyond caring. I was furious, betrayed, humiliated all at once. She looked annoyed, like I was the one overreacting. "God, you're so dramatic. You're making a big deal out of nothing. We're just having fun, and it's not like I love him or anything. It's sex, that's all." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Sex. That was her excuse, that she's just fooling around, no big deal. "I don't care if it's just sex," I shot back. "You lied, you cheated, and you've been sneaking around behind my back for who knows how long. How can I trust you anymore?" Her eyes flashed with anger. "Trust me. After everything I've done for you, you're the one who's such a control freak. Maybe if you weren't so insecure, I wouldn't have felt the need to do this. But honestly, I don't even know why I'm explaining myself to you." I stared at her, feeling my chest tighten. The betrayal cut so deep I thought I'd pass out. My mind was spinning. Part of me wanted to scream, to break something, but I held back. I knew this wasn't the end. I had to decide what to do next, whether to believe her or to finally accept that she was gone for good. The only thing I knew for sure was that everything had changed in an instant, and I was completely lost in a sea of rage, sadness, and disbelief. After she stormed out of the room, I stayed there, staring at her phone still lying on the coffee table. I was trying to process everything. Her words, her lies, that stupid fucking kiss at the party. I couldn't believe I'd been so blind. For years, I thought I knew her, thought she was loyal. But she had been lying right to my face the entire time. It was like a punch to the gut every time I remembered that damn photo. I guess I had been hoping she'd deny everything, that maybe I was overreacting, but knowing she was texting Ryan's best friend last night confirmed it. This wasn't some drunken mistake. This was real. She'd been sneaking around, lying, betraying me behind my back. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and honestly, hurt in a way I'd never experienced before. My stomach was churning, and I had this gnawing feeling in my chest that I couldn't shake. I needed to get out of the house. I couldn't be there anymore with her, not after what I'd just learned. I grabbed my coat and left without bothering to say anything. I drove around aimlessly for a while, trying to clear my head, but all I could think about was the betrayal, how she'd lied, and how much I'd trusted her. That trust had been shattered, probably for good. I knew I couldn't just let this go. I had to do something. I couldn't let her get away with cheating on me, with lying, with sneaking around behind my back. I was furious, but deep down I was also scared. Scared of what that meant for us, for what's left of our relationship. But most of all, I was angry. Angry at her for doing this, angry at myself for not seeing it coming, and angry at how easy she'd lied and dismissed everything. That night I started planning. I knew I had to confront her again, but this time with even more proof. I couldn't just accuse her blindly. I needed something concrete, something undeniable. I'd keep digging through her stuff, find more proof if I had to. I was determined to get to the bottom of this, no matter how painful it was. And then I thought about revenge. Yeah, I know it sounds petty, but I wasn't about to let her walk all over me. If she thought she could cheat, lie, and dismiss my feelings like they were nothing, then she was dead wrong. I had no idea what I was going to do yet, but I knew I had to make her feel some of what I was feeling, completely betrayed, humiliated, and powerless. I went home that night feeling hollow. I kept replaying everything in my head, the sneaking, the lying, that kiss, and I realized I'd never felt so lost in my life. Jessica was never going to be the same again, and honestly, I didn't know if I even wanted her to be. All I knew was that I wasn't going to let her get away with it, not without a fight. The next morning, I woke up with a pounding head and a cloud of rage still swirling in my mind. I couldn't shake the feeling that I needed to do something more, something that would really make her understand what she'd lost. I wasn't the type to go all out and explode in rage, but this betrayal was different. It cut too deep to ignore, and I knew I had to play my cards carefully. First thing I did was go through her phone again, more thoroughly this time. I needed to find every scrap of evidence, messages, photos, maybe even call logs that showed her lying and sneaking around. I didn't want to just accuse her blindly. I wanted to be prepared to make sure she couldn't deny a thing. I found some texts from Ryan, some flirtatious messages, even pictures she'd sent him after the party. I called a few of her friends, got some confirmation from one who admitted Jessica had been acting distant and secretive for a while now. The pieces were starting to come together. Then, I made a decision. I was going to confront her again, but differently this time. I wanted her to see I wasn't just some naive husband. She'd pushed me to the edge, and I was ready to fight back. I set up a scene at home where I could catch her off guard. I told her I needed to talk, that I'd found some things that couldn't wait. She looked annoyed, the same bitchy smirk on her face, but I could see a flicker of worry in her eyes. She knew I was onto her. When she came in, I started calmly so she wouldn't see what was coming. I laid out everything I'd found. The photos, the texts, the phone calls. Her face drained of color as I showed her the messages from last night, the pictures from the party. I watched her try to deny it, call me paranoid, accuse me of snooping. But I didn't flinch. "Jessica," I said, voice low but steady, "I know you've been cheating on me, I know about Ryan, and I know you've been lying for months. How long has this been going on?" She tried a different approach, denial, anger, then tears. "You're crazy, you're overreacting, it's just sex and it meant nothing. I was drunk and it happened once. Stop making a big deal out of it." I shook my head slowly. "No, this isn't just a one-time thing. I've seen the photos, I've read the messages. And I don't believe for a second that you didn't plan this. You've been lying for months, Jessica. How do I even trust you now?" Her eyes flashed with that bitchy attitude again. "Trust me, you're so insecure. Maybe if you weren't so controlling, I wouldn't have felt the need to look elsewhere. Honestly, I don't even care if you believe me or not. I'm done pretending to be the perfect wife." I felt my stomach tighten. The betrayal was so raw I almost couldn't breathe. I thought I was prepared, but hearing her say she was done pretending somehow made it worse, like she didn't even care anymore. I had to stop her, had to make her realize what she was throwing away. "You're not leaving here until we talk this through," I said, voice rough. "You're going to tell me everything, Jessica, no more lies." She stared at me, eyes blazing, then suddenly her bitchy attitude softened into a sneer. "You think you can control me? You think this is some kind of game? You're just some insecure little man who's too scared to admit he's not enough anymore. Well, I don't care. I won't be your doormat anymore, and I'm not going to stay just because you want me to." That was when I realized how far she'd gone. She wasn't just cheating, she was openly defying me, crossing every line I thought was sacred. I felt a furious urge to punish her, to make her understand that she couldn't just walk all over me. This wasn't over, not yet. I had more tricks up my sleeve, and I was going to use them. Because if she thought she could cheat and lie and then just walk away, she was dead wrong. I wasn't going to let her ruin everything and get away with it. Not without a fight. That night I stayed up late, thinking about my next move. I knew I couldn't just blow up and do something reckless, but I also couldn't let her keep playing games. I needed a plan, something that would hit her where it hurts and make her regret ever messing with me. I spent hours going over everything I knew, her lies, her manipulations, the way she dismissed my feelings like they were nothing. Finally, I decided to get a little sneaky. I couldn't just confront her again. I had to make her see that I knew everything, really, really knew. I started by talking to a couple of her close friends, the ones I knew I could trust, made sure they knew what was going on, asked if they had seen anything strange, anything that could help me confirm my suspicions. They confirmed she'd been distant, secretive, and that she'd been hanging out with Ryan more than she admitted. That gave me some peace of mind, knowing I wasn't just imagining things. Next, I went online and found some legal advice on how to handle a cheating spouse. Yeah, I know it sounds cold, but I was furious and needed to protect myself. I started collecting evidence, screenshots, bank statements, maybe even surveillance if I could swing it. I wanted her to realize I wasn't some naive fool anymore. I was serious about fighting for myself, for my dignity. I wasn't going to let her walk over me, not after what I'd found out. While I was doing all this, she was still acting like she'd gotten away with everything. That bitchy attitude, that dismissive tone, she kept telling me I was overreacting, that I was insecure, that she'd never cheat on me. But I wasn't buying it anymore. I knew the truth and I was going to prove it. One thing I did was set up a little surprise for her, nothing malicious, just enough to show her I knew what she was up to. I installed a hidden app on her phone to monitor her messages and calls, not to stalk her but to get proof if she kept lying. I also started recording our conversations, just in case. I knew it was a bit manipulative, but at that point, I needed every advantage I could get. I needed her to see that I wasn't just some pushover anymore. The following days were tense. Every time she left the house, I felt like I was walking on eggshells. I was waiting for her to slip up, to say something that would confirm everything I suspected. And sure enough, the more I watched, the more damning evidence I collected: flirtatious texts, secret meetings, even some photos she sent Ryan. It was all there, laid out in black and white. It was undeniable. I knew I had to confront her again, but this time I'd be ready. I wasn't going to let her lie her way out of it. I was done playing her game. When she finally came home that night, I was sitting on the couch with her phone in my hand, evidence spread out on the coffee table. I looked her straight in the eyes and said, "Jessica, we need to talk. I know everything now. The texts, the photos, the secret meetings. You thought you could get away with this, but I've got everything on record. So let's not play the denial game anymore." Her face drained of color and she looked like she wanted to run. But I wasn't letting her. I was tired of her lies, her manipulations. I wanted her to understand that I wasn't some fool anymore, that her little cheating spree was over. I was finally going to get some answers, and maybe, just maybe, she'd realize she'd gone too far this time. She stared at me, eyes wide with shock and something darker, fear maybe, or guilt. I could see her trying to come up with a lie, some bullshit to deny everything again, but I was done with excuses. I had it all right there, proof that she'd crossed every line I thought existed. Her bitchy attitude had vanished, replaced by a look of utter defeat. I took a deep breath and told her, "Jessica, I've had enough. You lied, you cheated, and you thought you could get away with it because you're manipulative and bitchy enough to think you're untouchable. Well, not anymore." My voice was cold, steady. "You're not the person I thought I married. I trusted you, and you threw that in the trash for some sex with Ryan's best friend. Do you even realize how much you fucked everything up?" She looked like she wanted to scream or cry, but instead she just sat there silent. I knew I had to make my final move. I looked her dead in the eyes and said, "I want you out today, pack your bags and leave. I don't want to see you or hear from you again until I say so, and don't think for a second I'm coming back, because I won't." She finally got up, her bitchy facade shattered completely. She spat out some half-hearted apology, something about feeling overwhelmed, about how she didn't mean for it to happen, how she was just bored and stupid. But I wasn't buying any of it. Not anymore. She had made her choice, and I was done making excuses for her. As she packed her things, I felt a strange mix of relief and sadness. Part of me still loved her, but I knew I couldn't stay in a relationship built on lies and betrayal. It was over. I realized that the trust I once had was gone, shredded beyond repair. I told myself I deserved better, that I'd find someone who wouldn't lie and cheat. When she finally left, I stood at the door and watched her walk away, feeling an odd calm settle over me. The house suddenly felt silent, empty, but somehow lighter. I knew this was the end of everything I'd thought was real. I looked around at the empty rooms, the photos of happier times, and I felt a strange sense of closure. For the first time in days, I could breathe. Looking back, I learned a lot from this nightmare. Trust is fragile, and sometimes, Even the strongest relationships can shatter in an instant. I also learned that no matter how much you love someone, you can't fix what's broken if they're not willing to be honest. And most importantly, I realized that revenge isn't always about getting back at someone. Sometimes it's just about walking away knowing you fought your hardest and that you're better off without the lies. So if you're ever in a situation like this, trust your gut. Don't ignore the signs, don't let anyone make you feel crazy for suspecting. Because in the end, the truth will always come out, sometimes in the worst way possible. And when it does, you just have to decide what kind of person you want to be. I chose to walk away. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. And honestly, I feel like I've finally taken back some control over my life.